So today's goal is to win Sidney Crosby's Stanley Cup, but we have one main issue here. We have a 0 overall team. I took the entire Pittsburgh Penguins roster, sent them all to free agency, and I took the lowest overall free agents. So just looking at this team, this is abysmal. There's no way we're winning more than 10 games. In between the pipes, we have a 56 overall and a 53. It's not looking good for us. And as I said, I sent all the Pittsburgh Penguins players into free agency. So right now, Jake Getzo, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, Rickard Rakell, Brian Rust, they're all free agents. So now our mission is to turn this Pittsburgh Penguins team into a Stanley Cup team. I'm not really too sure if it's going to be possible. Also, we have a few guys that are technically still under contract for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Owen Pickering, Ty Smith. I'm not going to use these guys in our video whatsoever. I'm not even going to trade them. I'm just going to wait for their contracts to finish out. But everyone that's currently in the NHL, I can trade away and get more assets for them. And I have a plan. So my plan is to take on a bunch of terrible contracts that teams don't want, such as Patrick Hornquist. 1 year, he's an 80 overall, 5.3 million. I'll give you an AHL player and I'll take on his cap hit. And just like that, we've got a new player on our team. Also, I probably could have asked for a 7th round pick, but you know what? A win is a win here. We'll take it. So another guy we're going to be picking up is going to be from the Montreal Canadiens, Paul Byram, and a 7th round pick for Jordan Subban. They're not going to accept this deal, so we'll just do Jordan Subban straight up for Paul Byram. There we go. We got another quality guy that can play on our top line. And then at the trade deadline, I'm going to retain both of these guys' contracts, then trade them away. We're making big moves out here. We might as well just keep on taking on these bad contracts, because we have to get the Pittsburgh Penguins to win a few games. And Jacob Silfverberg, I'll trade you next year at the trade deadline because you have 2 years left on your contract. We picked up another player for this team. So we're going to be picking up one more player before we head into next season. Vinny Hinostroza. I think that's what your name is. Welcome to our team. Wait, his name's actually Vinny. For some reason in my head, I thought it was Vincent, but I just said Vinny as a nickname. No, his name's legit Vinny Hinostroza. That doesn't really matter too much. I just thought I'd mention that. But here we go. This is what we're rocking with for season number 1. Obviously, we're tanking for Bedard. Pretty plain and simple, I think. Before we get into the season, though, if you're looking forward to NHL 24, and believe me, I'm looking forward to NHL 24, then make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're part of the 62% of people that aren't subbed to the channel, be a W-man and subscribe to the channel. What are you doing? So I have to give our team a round of applause right here. We've won 4 games this season. The fact that we've won 4 games is actually pretty amazing, so shout out to our boys. Leading the way should be no surprise. It's Sid the Kid. He's got 31 goals and 37 helpers for 68 points, but Patrick Hornquist has got 44 points. Hinostroza's got 43. Paul Byram 43 as well. And then Silfverberg, he's got 33 as well. You know for a fact these guys got some trade value now. Just taking a quick look at our team, look at the trade value of all these guys. We're going to get some assets for them, and that's a fact. So here's the trade I'm doing. Hinostroza, Patrick Hornquist, a 6th round pick over to the Boston Bruins for Zacha and Tyler Bertuzzi. They're accepting this deal, or they're not. L team right here. Just accept the deal here. You can have a 7th rounder as well. Is a 7th rounder really the difference maker? It is. We picked up 2 elite players though. Both of them are pretty young, and we're making massive upgrades to our team. So here's the next trade we're making. I'm picking up Verana and Boone Jenner from the St. Louis Blues. I have absolutely no clue how Boone Jenner got in the St. Louis Blues, but here he is. And now we've picked up like 4 quality NHL guys, and all of them are on great contracts, except for Bertuzzi. I got to re-sign him. If we can get this extension done with Tyler Bertuzzi, this is the greatest deal of all time. He doesn't want to extend with our team because we suck right now, so we're probably going to have to give him a bit of extra money. So I'll give him 4.9 million for the next 6 years. That's 300k more than what he's asking for. Actually, I want to make sure he comes here. We're giving him 5 million. I'm giving him more than what he wants, but we're a 4-win team right now. Nobody wants to stay here. So of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to finish the season out strong. You know, we won a handful of games. Well, that would actually be a complete lie. We didn't win a game for the rest of the season. 4-75-3. Now, y'all better give me Connor Bedard. So of course, Sidney Crosby is going to have decent numbers. So is Tyler Bertuzzi. I mean, I can't really complain with anyone's production here. Pavel Zacha, what'd you do since we acquired you? 10 points in 13 games, almost a point a game guy. Once we get you some more help, we're going to be an elite team. Also, I don't know why I said once we give him a bunch of help. Once we give Sidney Crosby a bunch of help, because he's the real focal point of this team. While we're at it, we might as well give a shout out to Patrick Hornquist and Vinny Hinostroza for winning a Stanley Cup, because that's what the Boston Bruins did. Good to see they're not choking in the first round. Also, they swept Toronto, which is pretty ironic. So here we go. We're heading to the draft lottery. Y'all better give me the first overall pick. If we don't get Connor Bedard, we're going to have an issue here. So here we go. We dropped a 3. Ain't no way. You're telling me the Anaheim Ducks jumped from 7-2, but the 4-win team in the Pittsburgh Penguins is dropping to 3? Yeah, no, I got an issue with this game. So with my first selection, I'm going to go with Zach Benson. He's projected 3rd overall. I already know he's got medium elite potential. Was there somebody better than him available? It looks like there was. Could have went with this guy who was a 78 overall. But you know what? I already know what Zach Benson offers. I'm going to give him a season to develop in the WHL. He'll come over to our team, be an 80 overall, 2nd line center. I have a place for him on our team. Now I'm going to keep it a buck here. The CPU did a terrible job scouting. I literally have no clue what anyone is except for this guy. Medium top 4, I'll take him. So right off the bat, I'm going to give Veranda an extension, 5 years at 4.5 million. I think he's going to be a second line player for us. So paying a second line guy 4.5 million, that seems like a steal to me. So here's the plan here. Jacob Silverberg, 50% retained straight up for Eric Brandstrom. And then I'm going to give Eric Brandstrom like a 5-year extension at 2 million. We'll have a good defenseman for us. They're saying that's a perfect deal for them. Yeah, no, I think we're the ones coming out ahead. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, so you remember how I said a 5-year extension at 2 million? We're doing 7 years at 1.8. If he accepts this deal, that's the biggest steal in the world. I'm going to develop him into an 85 overall player. So I'm not going to show every single signing I make, but I will show a few of them. And one of them is going to be Ryan Graves to a 4-year deal at 4.9 million. And if you're wondering why I'm constantly offering more money than what they're asking, we were a 4-win team. Who wants to play for a 4-win team unless they're throwing you a bag? So right now I'm targeting a defenseman from Arizona, Valimaki. He's an 83 overall, 24 years old. I think he could develop nicely for us. So this is what I'm going to offer over to them. Hopefully they say yes. That's exactly what they're saying. So we just picked up another great defenseman. Now I just got to give him a good extension. The other big free agent sign we're going to be making is Gavrikov, 4.9 million for the next 5 years. He can probably be a second pairing defenseman for us, maybe even first pairing. So you know what? I've given all the teams in the NHL enough time to sign these guys. And since they won't, I'm gonna. Patrick Kane, 7.5 million for 1 year. I'm trading you at the trade deadline and will acquire a bunch of assets from you. Patrice Bergeron, I'm doing the exact same thing with you. Nobody wants to pick these guys up, so I'll pick them up. 7.6 million. We have 30 million in cap space. I might as well do something good with it. So I just realized nobody's offered Barbashev a contract. So 5 years at 3.7 million. Please join this team. That'll be a steal for us. So after all the moves we made during the offseason, here's what our team's looking like heading into year number 2. We got Crosby, Kane, and Bertuzzi on the first line, Barbashev, Bergeron, and Verana on the second. Then the bottom 6 isn't looking too bad. Of course, over the next handful of years, we're going to make major upgrades to that. Looking at the defense, we got Graves and Brandstrom on the first pairing, Valimaki and Gavrikov on the second. I know Gavrikov's out of position. He's normally a lefty man, but I have him here for a right. Don't worry about it. And then our third pairing is going to consist of Nico Mikkola and Clendening. In between the pipes, we have 2 guys that are going to hold it down for the meantime. I don't expect these guys to be our Stanley Cup winning goaltenders, but we just need somebody in between the pipes for the next 2 years, so I picked up both of these guys. So there's no point wasting a bunch of time expecting this team to perform. They're clearly not. So I'm just going to go ahead and simulate to the trade deadline, and then we'll trade Patrick Kane away and Bergeron. Comparing us to last season, the Pittsburgh Penguins have made some massive strides. We're seeing 18th in the entire league, 33, 31, and 2. I can definitely live with that progression. I mean, we won 4 games last season. I wasn't expecting us to be worse. Also, right now, all the old boys are dominating for us. Sidney Crosby, Patrick Kane, Patrice Bergeron. Yeah, Patrick Kane's going to have so much trade value, and so is Bergeron. I'm getting a couple first rounders for these guys. Okay, I'm just testing something here because I saw somebody's trade value. Linus Ullmark is incredibly low. That will be our future goaltender. Now I'll just pick up some other assets as well, and then we got our goaltender for the future. Give me a second and 2/3. So Patrick Kane at 50% retained, and Aiden Hill for Ullmark, a second and 1/3, because I don't think we'll be able to get 2/3. We might not be able to get any draft picks at all. Okay, we got Linus Ullmark. We have our goaltender for the future. Okay, so I'm trying to cook up something special here. I didn't expect them to accept that. We got 3 second rounders in Jordan Greenway. Now it's time for the big trade as long as he's still available. So I'm doing everything in my power to get JT Miller and Kuzmenko. I feel like this deal should be enough, and it almost is. I'll take Connor Sheary out and give you another second rounder. So basically I'm going to give you 5 second rounders here. This should be more than enough for these 2 guys. And it is. I am positive I just offered this trade a couple minutes ago and they said no. So we're giving up a lot in this deal, but we're getting some great assets. 5 second rounders for JT Miller and Kuzmenko. And that's still not enough. But now they're saying yes. I don't know what's going on here. So the Pittsburgh Penguins finished the season out strong, 16th in the entire league, but we're going to be missing the playoffs because Washington held the tiebreaker over us. Meanwhile, Sid the Kid, an incredible season, 43 goals, 69 assists, 112 points. Bertuzzi's picking up 70, Barbashev's picking up 59. JT Miller, what'd you do since coming over to Pittsburgh? Almost a point a game. You'll love to see. You're on the first line. And Kuzmenko, what were you up to on the second line? 16 points in 16 games? Nah, this team's going crazy next season. Also, Linus Ullmark, I'm not expecting anything elite from you because we're still not that great defensively. But 9-4-2 with 3 shouts and a 930 and a 238. Okay, yeah, we're winning a Stanley Cup next season. That's a fact. So although we're not making the playoffs, I'll give a quick shout out to the Florida Panthers for winning the Stanley Cup and taking the Calgary Flames down in 5 games. But now it's time to get to something that's a bit more important than that, the draft lottery results. Of course, we're getting the 16th overall pick, but St. Louis is somehow getting number 1. No clue how they're that bad. Can't figure that one out. It doesn't make sense. Robert Thompson's still there. They should be competing for Stanley Cups. So with the 16th overall pick, we're actually going to be stealing an elite prospect. He's projected 19th, but I'm going to take him right here. Medium elite goaltender. He's probably going to have some X factors. So with this draft not being the greatest, I'm going to send the 5th and 6th overall pick over to the Buffalo Sabres for the 3rd round pick and NHL legend Joe Fleming. If you know, you know. Now low-key, I like this trade. We get the signing rights to Teuvo Teravainen and we get a 6th rounder as well. I'm doing this trade. We'll find a way to make up the cap space to bring him back, but I like this move. So we are going to be able to sign Teravainen. I'm going to give him a 6-year deal at $8 million per. But I really shouldn't be focused about this season. I should be focused about next season because we got to re-sign Allmark at some point. So right now, we're getting a bunch of bargains for deal. Linus Allmark, he only wants $8 million. I will give him $8 million for the next 6 years. I have no problem with that contract. And you know who else wants a deal? Sidney Crosby. His contract's coming up, so we don't have too many more years left with him. I'll give him 1 year at 9.5. I mean, I think this is too much for him at this point, but I mean, he's still producing, so 9.5, there you go. So we're going to make a splash if we want to win ourselves a Stanley Cup. And Alex Pietrangelo, I think he'll be the guy for us. It'll be a massive upgrade to our defense. You're still saying no to that? What do you need? Another 3rd round pick? There you go. A 1st, 2 seconds, a 3rd, and Daniel Sprong. That's enough to get this deal done, and we've just made a major upgrade to our defense. So we've accepted the all-in approach this season. Pavel Zaklin, a 1st rounder, over to the Anaheim Ducks for Mason McTavish and a 3rd rounder. Mason McTavish is going to be great for our bottom 6, and he also helps us for a future move. And that future move involves bringing Kuzmenko back because apparently I don't have enough cap space for him. So yeah, Kuzmenko, $5.7 million per year for the next 4 years. Also, I might be able to bring Mason McTavish back if he accepts this contract. If he says yes to this, then we'll have him for the next 2 years, but I don't think he's going to say okay to that. All right, so I guess he's going to say yes to that, and we have our core for the next 2 years. So basically, over these next 2 seasons, we better win at least 1 Stanley Cup. If not, sorry, said the kid, you're not winning another cup. So here's the core we're going to be rocking with for this season. Sidney Crosby, JT Miller, and Teuvo Teravainen on the 1st line. On the 2nd, we got Verana, Zach Benson, and Kuzmenko. The only issue I have with the 2nd line is Benson has basically 0 line chemistry here, but I think he's going to make it work with the X factors he has. And then the bottom 6 is looking absolutely fantastic. I have no issue with that. Defensively, we're looking great with some fantastic line chemistry, +1 on the 1st pairing, +3 on the 2nd, and then another +1 on the 3rd. And along with that great defense, we have a fantastic goaltending tandem with Linus Allmark being our #1 guy here. So right now, things are looking absolutely fantastic for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 1st in the entire league, 42, 18, and 5. We're at the trade deadline right now, so I think we should make at least 1 move. But maybe not, because the team's absolutely perfect right now, and I don't really want to screw that up. But we'll check what's out there on the market. Now, what we could do is get incredibly risky here, trade our elite goaltender for Steven Stamkos, who's on a 1-year deal, and then hope we win this season. Steven Stamkos won't be back next season. We won't have the cap space for him. But is this the play right here? Because this guy's not going to develop in time for us to use him. So I think we just ship him out and bring in Steven Stamkos. We're doing that. Okay, they're saying no to that. We'll throw in a couple picks and we'll get this deal done. All it took was a 3rd rounder. Added an extra 3rd rounder in and we got that deal done. Now we got Steven Stamkos on the team and it's time to win a Stanley Cup. So we're going to finish the year out strong. 1st in the entire league, 51, 22, and 9. We had a pretty good offense, 3.48 goals against, and an amazing defense, 2.66. I was thinking our defense was going to be our weak point, but it actually turned out to be the best in the league. Who would have thought? Meanwhile, since picking up Steven Stamkos, he's been over a point a game, and he's actually going to lead our team in points, 46 goals and 46 helpers for 92 points. Crosby's picking up 90. Hopefully he doesn't retire after this season because we might need him next year. And the rest of the team, absolutely fantastic. But I think it's safe to say that the best player on our team was in between the pipes for us, Linus Allmark, 42 wins, 4 shots, and 922 and a 243. This dude was absolutely fantastic this season, and now it's time for him to help us get a Stanley Cup. But just because we did great in the regular season doesn't mean we're a good postseason team, and Buffalo's going to put us to the test in the 1st round. The Buffalo Sabres were absolutely no issue for us whatsoever. Our offense couldn't be stopped. 7 goals in game 1, 4 in game 2, 5 in game 5. This team's on something different right now. Entering the 2nd round, I would have never expected us to match up against this team 3 years down the line, the Washington Capitals. Are you telling me Ovi and the Capitals are still compete for Stanley Cups? Never would have expected that. And similar to our series against the Buffalo Sabres, the offense on the Pittsburgh Penguins is just too good. 5 goals in game 1, 2 in game 2, I mean that's nothing, but 7 in game 3, that was a statement game. After taking a 3-0 lead, you already knew we were going to be taking this series. Moving on over to the conference finals, it's definitely not going to be getting easier for the Pittsburgh Penguins because we have to take on a team that was just in the Stanley Cup final in the Florida Panthers. In the conference finals, the Florida Panthers would put up a bigger fight, taking a 2-1 series lead, but we're just going to win 3 straight and now we're off to the Stanley Cup final. So here we are, Sidney Crosby, potentially your last chance at a Stanley Cup. All you have to do is beat the Winnipeg Jets. And I can't recall, but I think Winnipeg was 2nd in the entire league. Like, they were an incredibly good team, so we definitely can't sleep on them. And when push came to shove, the offense for the Pittsburgh Penguins was just too much to overcome. This team scored 8 goals in game 2. If that's not a statement, I don't know what is. They're going to go on to win the Stanley Cup, and we finally got Sidney Crosby another one. So Sidney Crosby, you're going to take home the Conn Smythe, leading the way for the team, 27 points, 8 goals, 19 assists. But you got to give me a bit of credit here. You had a 0 overall team just 3 seasons ago, and what happened? Well, I turned that team into Stanley Cup champions. Also, shout out to Steven Stamkos. He held it down on the second line.